Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake and I am here in Minnesota or Wisconsin or both with a very silly, very cool truck or SUV. This is the Cadillac Escalade V. This is effectively the most Blackwing version of the Cadillac Escalade, which is a longtime luxury SUV favorite of the body-on-frame crowd. So let's talk about what makes this a V of everything, and then we'll get behind the wheel on some good back roads and talk about how it is to drive. All right, so what makes the Escalade V a V? Well, first of all, we have to start with the engine. So under the hood is a 6.2 liter, here we go, 6.2 liter supercharged V8 making 682 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. And of course, supercharged, we love to see that. And that is paired to a 10-speed torque converter automatic and full-time all-wheel drive. It is 50-50 all-wheel drive normally, but it can send up to 70 or so percent of the power to the rear wheels if you're driving in a performance scenario. One fun thing, if you look closely up here, this is all grill. And then if you look up here, this is all just intake to feed this whole thing. So this has a nice seal going on, and then this right here goes straight into the airbox to feed that big supercharger. The supercharger itself feeds 2.65 liters of air. That's how much air it will suck in to feed this giant engine. So again, 682 horsepower there. Moving around to the wheels and tires of this thing. These are 22-inch wheels and tires. It's a 275 millimeter section width tire. It's a Bridgestone Alenza. Kind of a nothing special tire. It's just what they have on the regular Escalades from what I know. They do give you a 6-piston Brembo brake caliper on the front axle, which is good in theory. We'll talk about how that drives in just a minute. And then otherwise, it's pretty standard Escalade, aside from a couple differences with, you know, things like bumpers and you know, little tweaks here and there. This one is wearing a special shade of red tint coat paint, which is a $1,200 option. And otherwise, this is as base as you're gonna get one of these. MSRP on it is just shy of $152,000. It is very cold here we're actually in Wisconsin. I have verified that. So let's get behind the wheel and talk about how this Escalade V is to drive. All right, so let's talk about driving the Cadillac Escalade V. So, you know, to start, this is an Escalade, so you're starting with a very nice vehicle. It's a really good starting point. The seats are comfy, the cabin is very nice, the sound system in here, it's an AKG sound system, it is incredible. There's speakers everywhere you look, and some places you wouldn't look, like at the front of the dash. The whole thing is just like a bunch of speaker grills. It is a really nice place to spend time. Cadillac, I don't think, changed a whole lot in here versus a regular Escalade. They've got certain color combos and special wood trim and things you can get, but it's basically an Escalade that you would get otherwise. You'll notice you've got these metal shift paddles here, and otherwise, you know, the party piece is the 6.2 V8 with the supercharger under the hood. So as far as where I am outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, with a bunch of fellow gay car enthusiasts, and we are doing this backroads drive today as a little weekend thing. So Cadillac sent this over so I'd have something fun and sporty and performance-y to drive on our Sunday of driving. And you wouldn't normally think of an Escalade as a performance vehicle, you know, in this regard for like a backroads drive. So let's talk about how it is. Now, right now I'm in tour mode, which is, you know, the exhaust is in its quietest setting, which is still not... That's the quietest. That is the quietest it will go. So it is still a loud setup, but if I put it in V mode, that turns everything to maximum attack. The steering gets a little firmer, the suspension, the mag ride with the air springs firms up quite a bit. The exhaust gets very that. And then you've got, you know, the throttle response changes a little bit, the brake feel can change a little bit with how they've got the boosters set up and all that. So this is as performance-y as it's gonna get. And, you know, we're on some good roads here, and we played yesterday as well, just trying to give a lot of people rides, because I just love being able to show these cars off and share them with people. And first of all, this is how that went. I don't care. Like a big ass, like, oh my god. I can't. So you probably want to go to west and then loop back around. Okay. Oh, I should not have got in here. And then otherwise, you know, now we're on these back roads, so like the party piece is being able to get on an on-ramp or whatever, like did yesterday, and just pin it, and it is wild. It will rip shifts off. This is the corporate 10-speed automatic, but it'll rip shifts off. It will just go. It will, you know, pick up its skirt and run. If you've ever seen a drag queen run in heels, like, it will do that, and it's impressive, because you wouldn't expect that to happen, but it's gonna do it. When you're on these back roads, if you're really pushing it through an off-ramp or something, that is where this is obvious that the way my friend Mason put it is perfect. This is like a 70s muscle car in that they put a giant engine in something that is, you know, otherwise minimally changed. Cadillac will tell you, like, oh, we retuned the Magnaride a little bit and we put the 6-piston Brembos on the front, and, you know, they did, but this thing is dramatically under-tired. It is on Bridgestone Alenzas, which that's like a touring SUV tire. I have a set of them on my Cayenne diesel, and they're great tires. I really enjoy them. They are not a performance tire. So sending 682 horsepower through them, especially in a turn, is not... there's not a lot of grip going on here. So your cornering is fine. It is interesting. What is really interesting about the dynamics of this car is that, you know, it doesn't want to turn. It will understeer pretty heavily. However, if you lift off the throttle, then it will rotate, and then you can get back on the throttle, and between the all-wheel drive and the traction control, it will actually, like, let you do a good bit of fun through a turn. You just have to really work with it to be doing that. So kind of interesting there. The all-wheel drive is a 50-50 split normally, but it can go up to 70-something% rearward as you're pushing it more. So, you know, as you push through a corner more, it will take on a little bit more of a rear-wheel drive bias, and it will let you rotate it with the throttle. The traction control is really, really good. GM has good programming with traction control. On the Blackwings, they call it performance traction management. On this, it's just traction and stability control. But yeah, the tires are kind of this Escalade V's biggest detriment. And other than that, you know, they put the big 6-piston Brembos on it for the sake of you know, more pad and more stopping power. I question the pads that are on it. I really don't know if they put a better compound on them. The brake pedal feel is not very confidence inspiring in a lot of cases. It's a little spongy on initial bite, and just, you know, this is something that will launch you forward, and I would prefer to have a brake pedal that just made me feel a little more confident in you know, rolling into it kind of hard, because this does not. All right, so we have to do launch control, of course. So when you're in V mode, you can do it. You leave it in drive. We're gonna floor the brake, floor the throttle, wait. We'll let these cars go. You can hear it, she's ready. We're sitting there, and 3, 2, 1, go. Like, that is, just the silliest out of a car like this. It weighs 6,200 pounds, and it sounds like that, and it moves like this, and it just, like, what a machine. There's no excuse for this. It does not need to do any of this. A regular 6.2 liter Escalade is a very nice, plenty fine vehicle that will honestly get up and move pretty good. And I find it so amusing that Cadillac has pulled, like, most of a Blackwing into one of these. You know, the actual Blackwing, I drove a CT5 Blackwing earlier in the year in May, and that was a very well done performance sedan that was well tuned everywhere, between suspension, tires, brakes, everything. It was much more the whole package. This is the motor, the transmission, the exhaust, and little tweaks everywhere else. Other than that, like, would I call it a full-on Blackwing? No, that's why they're not calling it a Blackwing. It's just a big motor stuffed in here. The one thing that's been actually kind of impressive is the steering feel, especially in V mode. It is not, you know, the most precise steering. It's an Escalade, but it firms up nicely to where I think it's got good weight. You still know where the front tires are if you're shoving it through an off-ramp or something. Even when they're understeering, even when the traction control is kind of helping you out, it is the feel and everything is pretty good for a vehicle of this size. And you know, I really think with better brake feel, that's just the biggest thing from a confidence perspective. Between the brake feel and if they could just put a different tire on it, I think the tire is the biggest thing that is making me feel like it's, you know, just not quite there, but it is so close. So either way, tremendously fun, tremendously cool. You know, it can still be used as a truck. These are rated to tow 7,000 pounds. If we can get one in DC and do a trailering test with it, I will try for that. But you know, they're useful enough as it is, and they're just really absurd. And that's kind of the whole point as Cadillac transitions away from gas-powered vehicles to electrification. So they're doing, you know, the final, the crazy, the bonkers, and I love them for it because I think a lot of other companies are just going to do, you know, oh, well, this is our last 2-liter turbo 4, and that's that, and we're done. And there's not going to be like a final hurrah. And like, why not? You know, you're developing all these great EVs. We're going to get them in the next few years. Okay, well, let's do some wild internal combustion stuff as a final send-off, and this is one hell of a send-off. All right, that is it for this review of the Cadillac Escalade V. Thank you so much for coming along. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe right here on YouTube. Give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Out Motorsports. And if you'd like to join a community of fellow LGBT car enthusiasts and motorsports competitors, please head over to outmotorsports.com. We have a whole group of people over there, both online and in person, who would love to get to know you at one of our events. Until next time, please stay safe, be well. See you again soon.